Hello and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni. I'm an alignment coach and energy healer. And today I'm going to talk about really what does it mean alignment? Alignment what? And what is alignment coaching? And what the hell do I want from you? So stay with me because today we are going to unpack a few really important things that will be so important, and especially if you are on a healing journey. So let's get started. Alignment doesn't mean much to many people. And so here today we're going to really, like I said, we're going to unpack it. But where do we start? A lot of the time when I talk to people, and all I'm doing, as I'm listening to them, I hear how stuck they are. Why is it so difficult? I just want to start. Hello and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni and I'm an alignment coach and energy healer. Today I want to talk to you a little bit more specifically about what alignment means and what can you do with it, and also why is it so important, especially if you are going through a healing journey. So when I talk to people, a lot of the time they're saying they have no choice. They say, I'm in a job that I don't like, but I can't change it. Or I'm in a relationship that I don't like and I can't leave, or whatever it is, they're always able to bring in a situation where they're feeling really stuck. And when I say stuck, I also mean that there's a lot of fears around that. So what will happen if I change? What will happen if I leave? What will happen if I stand up for myself? What will happen if all of these different things? So all of these uncertainties, they are actually fears of, well, I don't know what it's going to look like, so I'm very scared. I'm very fearful that this is not going to work out and I'm going to end up in a place that is worse off than where I am at the moment. So fears are really important counterpart to all of this journey of alignment. So fears is number one. Then the next thing is alignment. Not alignment. The next thing is limitations. It's where we believe that we are limited, and we believe that things will never happen, right? That's a lot of the time we're being very practical and rational and all of that. So we say, well, realistically, I'm in a job that I don't like, but I'm earning this much money. If I now had to quit this job and start from scratch, I will never make it into this kind of salary bracket in time. So we're finding a lot of limitations to what we want to do. So this is the second counterpart of what happens when we are out of alignment. And then the third thing that I want to talk about, of course, is compromises. And it's the same thing, really. It's very similar to limitations when we're saying, well, it will never happen, so I'm going to just stick with it. I know that there was a time in my life where I felt really stuck, and I felt like I had no idea how to move past wherever it was that I was, hanging. And I remember saying, well, I know that I'm not where I want to be, but if I knew how to be somewhere else, then I would have. But because I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to go again on another journey that is so uncertain. Now, it wasn't coming from the need to know exactly what to do, but it came from looking at my past and realizing that I've already tried so many different things that didn't bring me to where I wanted to be, that I wasn't going to do. I just wasn't ready to do something new. I can make it clearer if I talk about diets, for example. It's the same thing as saying I've tried every diet under the sun and I haven't managed, so now I'm not going to do it until I get some guarantees that I'm going to manage. I'm not talking about weight, of course. I am talking about just how sometimes you are feeling that not where you want to be, but you are aware that you don't have the tools and you don't have the inspiration or the guidance to get you to where you want to be. So this is part of it, of course. So how do we weave it all together? When we are going through life and we are constantly in the place of fears, limitations, or compromises, we can't be ourselves. And when I say can't be ourselves, I mean ourselves as we are meant to be. I already spoke about this before. I always speak about it, but you may just arrived here for the first time. So I always remind us that we are really on a very short journey. In our soul journey, we are on this earth for a very short time. And before we got here, we made plans and we said, right, when I come to this earth, here are 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I want to experience. And some of them might be, the challenge of getting healthy. And other ones might be, learning how to love myself, or, I want to learn how to rebuild myself after some really unimaginable events. Whatever it is, these are decisions that we've made for ourselves before we got here. And here we are, doing our soul journey as we planned, as we agreed to. And because of the fears, limitations, and compromises, we are not finding the way back to who we are, or who we're meant to be, or the journey that we are agreed to go on. So in a sense, what I'm trying to say is that when you arrived here, you said, I'm going to come here and turn right. And now, because of all these fears, limitations, and compromises, you're actually turning left. And so at some point, your body, who is in constant conversations with the universe and knows your soul journey, is saying, hang on, you're not doing the right thing. You're not you're not experiencing the things that you wanted to experience. And so I need to get you to pause. This is a lot of the time when we are receiving health problems, maybe pain, illnesses, conditions, whatever it is. And this is really not your body trying to say, hey, from now on, that's it. It's really about, hey, you are not doing what you said you're going to do, and so you're moving out of alignment. So I just wrote some notes so I can explain it a little bit better. So I'm going to talk about 4 different things about that causes us to get out of alignment. And some people say, well, can you ever be in full alignment? Well, I don't know. I haven't arrived there yet. That's the honest truth. But I am aware of things, and that helps me to move forward in my journey. And I'm hoping that together we're going to get you into the same place. So the first thing to talk about is when you believe that things are done to you. Now, of course, things are done to you, but when we're looking at it from a little bit more higher perspective, we know that really things happen in your path, not for you to get hung up on them and stay in the past, but actually for you to make the learnings from that and move forward, utilizing them into your path and your journey and your really advantage, because this is now going to guide you on what it is that you want to do moving forward. So someone who has been through, for example, addiction of any sort, really, a lot of the time you will see that these people, they become guides to other people that go through the same thing, because they've been there and they've done that and they experienced it, and more importantly, they found the way out. Now they can guide other people in doing the same. So there is a very big difference between a guide that has been through these things and a guide that hasn't, because someone who has been through these things have the more minute details and sensitivities to the challenges of the journey coming out of something. So when something happens in our past, in our journey, and we stay stuck there, we are really not seeing the bigger picture, because everything that happens in our path, we should be able to see what it's there for. But as I'm saying it, of course, I'm very much aware of that sometimes things happen and we can't see immediately what they're there for, but at some point everything will fall into place. And so one thing that, of course, that we are always called to do is have patience, and not to have a lot of judgment in terms of, this happened and now everything is ruined and I can't get past that. Because the whole point of us being here is that we are on a journey, and it's a journey of learning, and it's a journey of growing, and a journey of really going deeper inside of ourselves and finding the strength and the courage and the abilities to continue. So a lot of the time when I speak to people, we can both see that actually they're very much stuck in the past, and they fuel this staying stuck in the past. So they can tell me very well all of the information, all of the details of what happened, and it might be a one-off event, or it might be a series of events, or it might be a whole chunk of childhood, for example, but they're so connected to what happened that they can't go past that. And so all of their being is constantly and continually firing up the same emotions and the same neurological situations that happened the first time around. And this is when they are in fight or flight, because they're stuck in that time, in that event. Now, when they're stuck in that event, there is no moving forward, because you're stuck in where you were. And so in my conversations with people, I always ask them to really go out a level, and we want to see how come, not why it happened to you, but how it happened for you. And so the invitation is always to park your ego, who will always try and tell you that it was done to you and you are a victim. So park your ego and find the thing that now you can do, or now you can understand because of this event. So a lot of the time, what we see when we come out of this is that we were operating from fears. We were operating from believing that we are not good enough, that we don't have a voice, that other people are more important, or other people can do or say things better. We are always coming from a place of, kind of powerless. And now that we see that, we can do things differently. Now, I want to, of course, acknowledge that, yes, sometimes things happen in our lives when we are powerless. But this is not the point. The point, life is not here to put you down. It really is here to lift you up. And it's all a question of your mindset and attitude. Are you staying stuck in that place? Or are you really able or willing to look at it and say, what is the lesson? What is the wisdom that I haven't been able to see yet? So staying stuck in the past, feeling that things were done to you, is a sure way to stay out of alignment. And getting more into alignment is to say, really, like I said, what am I understanding now that I couldn't see before? What are the lessons? How was I behaving? How can I behave moving forward? How can I take all of this information and all of these learnings and bring them back into something that makes absolutely total sense to me? So I guess as an example is, if we are saying that a lot of the time things happen in our past because of how we showed up. If I show up to something and I believe that I'm not good enough, how do I use now this information to help me move forward in a way that I'm feeling, actually, maybe I'm not super confident yet, but I know that I am good enough. So what would that look like? How would that look like differently in my life moving forward? And it doesn't need to be from now to, a second later. It's a journey, but it's a different journey. It's a different trajectory, because now I am no longer believing that I'm not good enough. Now I believe I am good enough, and how can I take it forward? So it's a whole different conversation, and I hope you can see that. But if you don't, then leave me a note and let's have a conversation. Okay, so the next thing is when you live life and you again believe that you have no choice. So a lot of the time, people that going through depression or anxiety, or there's a lot of fear in their lives, they get up in the morning and they immediately know that they're feeling in exactly the same way that they did yesterday, and immediately they're like, so there's no energy, I can't do it. It's and the whole day is now dedicated to try and getting over that sense of, I can't, no energy, no spirit, no, everything is very low and very, very challenging. And what I'm saying here is that notice how you are allowing for external things to dictate how you're doing things internally. So what I'm trying to say here is that you can make a decision, or you can find something that puts a fire back underneath you. And it's in doing so, you are changing everything. So if I'm sitting here and I'm feeling very down and very low and very tired and exhausted and like, really, it will be so hard to come out of this. But now that's a question, right? It's a fork in the way. What do I want to do with it? Do I want to just say, I can't do it and spiral down? Or do I want to say, this is just a temporary thing. This is not me. This is not what I choose to do. And now, put some music on, start jumping up and down, go out to the forest, hug some trees, or just roll in the grass, or really find a way to do something that is more meaningful in your life. I said that before, I'll say it again. When you are consciously choosing to make a positive impact on someone's life, it also impacts you. Now, a depression is a state of mind, in a sense. Sure, people can talk to me about imbalances in the body and all of that, but I'm talking about when it's a way of life now, and it's been going on for such a long time. And in conversations you might say, well, I know I've been there for such a long time, I know it by heart. Exactly. This is the time to make a change. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be an easy change. I'm not saying it's going to be a difficult change, but what I am saying that it needs to be more aware change, an awareness, bringing in the awareness into your new journey. So you know that you're going to very easily kind of roll back into where you've been. So put some things in place that says, okay, when I feel this way, this is what I'm going to do instead. So I know that, for example, when you go through alcoholism and you have the AA, if you feel like something is going to slip back, you're going to ring your, what do you call them? Your mentor, your person that is sponsor. The person is going to be there for you. And this is one of these things. So with AA, of course, it's already established and all of that. But in other ways, like I said, when you're feeling down, this is just an energy that is very low. So how do you raise your energy? Go and get some ice cream. Go and see a movie that is, a very laugh out loud kind of movie. Connect with a friend. Make something meaningful. You have to see that life is not done to you. You are an active part of your life. So how are you going to fire it up? How are you going to move from feeling very sad and angry to feeling excited and joyous? You have the tools, you have the way, and more importantly, inside of you, there is an answer. Inside of you, there is something that says, you know what, if I could, I'd love to do this, or I'd love to do that. So what is it? And come on, start excavating. It's yours. There's only one life, and it's yours to live. You are in charge of everything here. No one is coming to save you. You know this. And if you have been doing this for a while, this will be really difficult. Especially because you're saying, well, this is how I've been my whole life or for a very long time. And people see me in this way. Can I just say, actually, I'm not that anymore? Yes, you can. Because you don't really owe anyone any explanations. It's all about you and your journey. So find your way and do it. Okay. So I guess this is also a little bit a part of the next point, which is believing that you have no choice. And maybe this is more about, maybe I spoke about it before, doing a job that you don't like because you are the sole breadwinner, or because you have so many dependents, or because you have no idea what you can do instead. So what you do instead is just, you get up every morning and you do exactly the same thing. You put one foot after the next and you go to a job that you don't like, and you have the same struggles and the same stresses. And you just say to yourself, well, that's okay. That's not okay. It is absolutely not okay, because what you do is you're again living in the past. There's nothing new here. Your system is now in a loop of compromises. And that's not what life is all about. So have a think to yourself. What is it that really calls me? When I was 5 years old and I said, I want to, build castles in the sand all day long, well, fine. So what is the next step to do with this? Where is it leading you? Where is the inspiration here? and just go for it. I'm not saying just go for it as in, drop everything and change careers and all of that, but find a way to move forward. Go and talk to some people who already do that, or have a conversation, get a career advisor, or whatever it is that you need to do. Just have this thing at the back of your mind that says, actually, there is an excitement in my life, and I am the only one that can make it happen. So what do I choose? Do I choose to go back to a life that is super stressful, or do I choose to really look inside and go within and find that fire? And this fire, believe me, is the most important thing. The next point is really, I guess, is what I already mentioned about living in the past. So what do we do with all of this information? That's the most important question for now. So I always talk about going back into simplicity. And the reason why this is important is because we tend to complicate everything so much. And there is no much point in doing so. Because, if you look back to our ancestors, I don't know how many years back you want to go, but, probably more than the last, never mind, 1,000 years or so. When we just started, life was very simple. You needed to look after your basic needs, right? You needed to have something to eat, somewhere safe to sleep. You needed to have some water. You needed to have some social element, and then you just go on with it. This were your basic needs, and there was probably not much else, because that's what you just needed to do. The complexity starts when we want to move out of that, when we want to start moving into our self-realization and starting to live through our values, and connecting with the right kind of people, and really follow our soul and where our fire lives, or where our fires are taking us. So this is the challenges, right, that people have, because they want to move on to that next part, but they're still worried about these basic needs. How will I survive? What will people say? How will I be accepted or not accepted? And what does it all mean? So there's a lot of these kind of challenges, but actually we need to connect with what feels right, and this knowing that we have inside of us that goes everywhere. So for example, when we're living out of fear, it means that we most of the time have a very active negative voice. So we say, hey, do you know what? I want to go and join a choir. It would be fantastic. I will, meet people, and I can get to sing, and I'll get to connect with whatever, and I have so much excitement about it. And then our negative voice is going to come up straight away and says, really, you can't sing, your voice is awful, and also you're too old, really too old, and also this is on a school day at 10 o'clock in the evening, you're never going to make it. So as soon as you have this knowing come up, you also have another voice that comes up and basically slaps you in the face and says no. And then it gives you the most realistic lies on why you shouldn't do this. And then what happens? You said, do you know what, was just a silly idea. I mean, choir, really. And then we don't do it. And then basically it's another layer of, I'm thinking about sand bottle, where you have all of these different colors. This is another disappointment. This is another decision that we chose fear over alignment. And so, and then we say no, and then that never comes up again. And so slowly, we are training our soul that we are here just to compromise it. We're here to survive in this life. But alignment really means that when we come up with these, excited ideas, we look at them with curiosity, because there is a reason why they popped up. And they popped up because the universe knows that, yes, if I went to this choir, maybe, first of all, singing is a fantastic way to raise your energy. So that's, hey, number one. Number two, it's socializing. Maybe I'm going to meet some people that are going to make the most beautiful impact on my life, and I will never have a chance to meet them if I didn't go there. Or maybe it's, an opportunity to disconnect. So for, I don't know, an hour a week, I go out there and I don't have any worries and no fears, and I'm just there in my element. And when you are in your element, when you are disconnecting, when you are not in your normal day-to-day slosh, this is when your nervous system starts to calm down, and you start living in joy, and you start doing the things that are right for you because they are in alignment, because you can feel every cell of your body saying, yes, yes, I'm doing this. Now, this is a part of it. So paying attention to these notices of excitement and joy are super important. Noticing when you're saying no because you're connecting with your fears is super important. So what I'm saying is that there needs to be a time in your life that you say, I trust. I trust that, that my basic needs are already being taken care of. And some of you will say, well, how can they be taken care of? I have no money, I'm ill, or I'm sick, or I'm going through, a lot of challenges. I can't. All of my attention is focused on these basic needs. I don't have any energy to move forward into the, these things that you're talking about, this alignment and all of that. And I want to say that this is actually feeding one into the other. Because when you are connecting with this idea that you can make a positive impact on the world, and you are deciding to maybe just push back a little bit on all of the fears that you're going through, then you will slowly be guided out. I get that this is maybe a little bit more complex idea to connect with, because the basic needs they're basic needs for a reason. They really are very important. But if we look at what we're saying, that when you are out of alignment, you have more of the problems that you don't want, then it makes sense to agree that actually when you go back into alignment, these problems disappear. So really, if someone is all the time living in stress, and it can be any sorts of stress, it can be a stress of being in a job that you don't like, or in a relationship that don't suit you, or it can be because you're a perfectionist, or because you're a people pleaser, or because you believe that everyone needs to come ahead of you in the queue of things to do things. This is constant stress. And when I say, well, connect with your soul, it's like taking a step back and saying that actually all of these things are not really important. They're not actually what makes you. These are survival mechanisms that you created for yourself at some point when you were very young, but now we can slowly start letting them go, and now you can really connect with you, with your inner fire, with the things that are calling you, that are exciting you, that are amazing for you, and that you just never dare to do. So I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense because, it's every one of you is coming to this video, this recording, from a different place. And each and every one of you have a story that you've been telling yourself for a very long time. And if you are here to say, actually, how do I look at things differently, then what you need to do is to say, I am willing to let go of that story that I held on to for such a long time. And it was an important story because it was a part of my journey. But now I'm ready to look at how it is actually feeding into my journey moving forward, and not how it is here to make me, feel stuck in my life. This is when your real healing starts, because you are able to see that what you were doing until now was really away from your trajectory. So it was away from joy and openness, and more into fears and limitations and compromises, like we said. So alignment is when you get up in the morning and you think, what feels right? Of course, we all have duties and responsibilities, but in between them, or other than that, what feels right? So when was the last time you picked up your guitar and just sat there for half an hour and just dang 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 dang? When was the last time that you drove in your car and put a song in full volume and just sang with it, because what the hell? When was the last time that you went to the beach and just walked bare feet on the sand? When was the last time you just looked outside and enjoyed the sunset? When do you allow yourself to really take a moment to connect with the things that are outside of the usual stress and fears and feeling stuck and so on? So if you only take one thing from this conversation today, I hope it's that you can ask ask yourself, where am I right now in my life? How am I feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being and 10 being absolutely amazing. Where am I now? And say you think, well, things are pretty good. I'm a 7 now. Wonderful. If you're at 7, then you just ask yourself, what will make it into an 8? Right? What are some small things, small steps that I can do differently? And if you are at 2, and you say, okay, well, 2 is also important because it means that you've already done 2 points that are better than 0, right? So you're already at 2. So first of all, well done for that. And then what will make it into a 3? Or what will make it into a 5? And then when you're asking yourself these questions, you come up with realistic, tangible things that you can change or do differently. What will then happen is that your negative voice is going to come up and say, well, absolutely not, it's never going to happen because blah, 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 blah. Sure, your negative voice is very good at telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. And I'm encouraging you to say, actually, your negative voice knows nothing about you, knows nothing about your life, definitely has no idea about the future. So just say thank you to the negative voice and then connect with your soul. Maybe you need to go to the office. Sure. So maybe you can take a different route. Maybe it's a scenic route. Maybe, you know that every time you come to the office, there is this person that absolutely drives you nuts. So maybe you go and sit somewhere else. Or maybe, or maybe you decide that today you love everyone and no one is annoying you. And actually everything you take in your stride. Or maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to, yes, have lunch in a different place today because it's going to, something that excites me. Whatever it is, you have a choice. You have a choice, and all you need to do really is to ask yourself, how can I raise my energies? How can I do things differently? Things that feel right. When I work with people doing my energy healing, which, just so you know, I use the modalities of the emotion code, the body code, and the belief code. And at the end of a healing session, I always tell people how many days it will take their subconscious mind to process everything. And in the processing days, other than drinking a lot of water, I always ask people to tune into their energy and needs even. And they always know, like, what does that mean? And I'm like, let your hair down. Really go within. What feels right? What do I want to do? Do these things. Give yourself this gift of just going wild. Yeah, sure, take your responsibilities with you, but other than that, you don't have to have the same kind of down mood every night when you come back from the office, or every time you meet your partner, or every time you go to the office and see someone, or every time you look at your bank account. You have to start changing things in order to get something new. And the question is, what is it that you're going to change? And how willing are you to let go of these stories that have made you who you are today, and that maybe were not so helpful after all. So I said that, of course, and immediately I have another thought that says, well, actually, because our path is already known when we get here, things always work out in the way they're meant to. And I believe that so fully and completely. Things always work out in the way that they're meant to. And so everything that happens in your life is there for a reason. Now, if you start questioning that, if you start to saying, well, I don't like that, or, it's not where I thought I'm going to be, these are attachments and resistance that are going to make things a little bit more challenging. When you're opening up, when you're showing up with curiosity and like, hey, I wonder what's, how come this is here right now, then you're not having any attachments, you're only having curiosity, which means that the path is open and free, and you can just dip in and enjoy it in a sense. I've said lots of things today. Some of them will resonate, some of them will absolutely not. Maybe some of them will trigger you, and maybe some of them will inspire you. Whatever it is, feel free to leave a comment, or if you want to get in touch and have a conversations, we absolutely can do that. When I offer people my services, and a lot of the time people say I'm going to do the healing, because in the healing modalities that I use, we release trapped emotions. We are releasing trapped blockages from your energy field. So you don't have to immerse yourself in the story. You can just basically have it released. And people like that, of course. But for me, I feel that it's very passive, because I am the one that is clearing it, or I am the one that is instructing your subconscious mind to clear it. Of course, you do the clearing by yourself, but it's more passive. And when you really want to heal, when you're really suffering from chronic conditions and so on, I really recommend considering this question of alignment. Because if you're not in alignment, if you're constantly in stress and constantly in resistance and constantly in fight or flight, all of that, healing is very difficult. And even if it is happening and you're feeling a little bit better after our sessions and so on, you haven't got the tools to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And so that's why I always say that, in my opinion, the alignment coaching is probably more important than the energy healing, but a combination of these will be fantastic, because I teach you how to get back into alignment, and then I help you clear things from your energy field, and so you are creating a whole new you that is in alignment and now ready for healing. So yeah, do with it what you feel like. My name is Einav Avni. I'm here for you. If you want to have a conversation, find me at untangledhealing.com, and all of my information is down below this video somewhere. But also, if you feel that this is important, share, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. It really helps to, share the messages with the world, because when you go back into alignment, natural healing happens. Your body is opening up for healing, and that's when you get over things that you never thought you could actually heal without, interference of other stuff. So it's all a conversation. But if you think, hey, that makes sense to me and I want to explore more, get in touch. And if you don't, then you don't, and I'll see you when you're ready. But other than that, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.